across the world, not just in Nigeria or in the background. Yes, we have our own available Nigerian Baptist Convention doing this to ensure that our youth are put in their place where they belong. All right, we're going to start this program, which is the International Youth Day 2025. And we have our team as the Youth Power, driving change for a sustainable future. And just before we begin, I think we need to start with God. And we will be starting with an open prayer. I will call on Sister Anola Adeli to lead us in an open prayer. Shall we pray?
Heavenly Father, thank you for today, Father. We exalt you in Jesus' name. Father, thank you for bringing us here today, for the privilege of giving us, Father. We exalt you in Jesus' name. And Father, thank you that you made it in the hearts of our leaders and our elders, that they can teach us and make us know what we are meant to do. Father, we exalt you in Jesus' name. And Father, we ask that the sole aim that you lead this meeting into their hearts, Father, let it be done in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name.
All right, thank you so much. We can have a seat. This program is being supported, brought to you by the Nigerian Baptist Convention, and also we have the Arise Youth Network for a total impact. And here's a have dignitaries that are here. Yes, we have our own director of the Youth and Student Ministry of the Nigerian Baptist Convention. Let's put our hands together for Dr. James Obama. And he has always been, he's not home, but his youthful heart. So he's been around the youth almost all the time. Let's put our hands once again for him. Okay, I want to call the Tuesday for him to come around. We'll still introduce more people as time goes on. But yes, let's begin with the statement of purpose. So we know the reason why we are gathering here today, the 12th of August, 2025. Reverend Tuesday, let's begin together.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate you for that, Mr. Shegun. So it's a privilege, it's a pleasure to be with us this morning to mark this Constitution in the month of August. So 12th of August every year is marked all over the world, set by the United Nations to observe International Youth Day, specifically to discuss issues that surround youth development, to see how can youth all over the world contribute to sustainable development of the world. The ecosystems, the political system, governance, and every use affecting the world presently. So the International Youth Day is all about mobilizing youth, gathering youth together to see how they can contribute towards development and even in their own context. For this year, specifically, the theme is strategically chosen by the United Nations. The theme for this year is local youth actions for the SDGs and beyond. As we all know, the SDG goal will be coming to an end by 2030. And now we are in 2025. And the world is trying to speed up activities to make sure that we are able to meet those goals. And we have about 17 of those goals. And all the goals from goal 1 has to do with ending poverty to the last one have to do with the youth in one way or the other. They are affecting the development of the youth in one way or the other. That is why the United Nations deemed it fit to bring together youth this year to see how we can encourage youth, mobilize them and engage them in constructive, sustainable actions towards achieving this objective. How do we translate SDG into local realities from SDG Goal 1 to 17? How can we bring youth in our local context to see how they can contribute? For example, the Goal 1, ending poverty. How can we bring youth together to end poverty rates in Nigeria? How can you be involved in local leadership? And for all as Nigerian Baptist Convention, we are at the forefront in especially the Department of Youth and Student Ministry. So we are here today to look at that, to discuss, to interact. Of course, we will be having a panel discussion led by our fathers that are here, and one of our speakers is on his way. Maybe before we close the program, of course, we'll let him come up, but if not, we have our fathers that are more than capable to handle this topic for us today. So I just want to encourage us. It's not just about listening or looking what we are here with us online, when we are here. It's not just about listening to us, about picking what I need to do to contribute to the sustainable development of this country, of society I belong, of the group I belong to. How can I contribute? That's why we are here today. How can I do it? I pray God will help us in Jesus' name. As we move on, we'll be impacted and inspired to take the necessary action. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming around.
All right, firstly, we'll just hear, why we are here and why we are gathered, and the reason why we need to do more as a youth. Yes, there'll be a lot of talk today, and all we can do is just avail ourselves the opportunity to get one or two things and how we can launch ourselves out as youth. Yes, talk about maybe in a couple of minutes we'll be having a panel discussion. But just before that, yes, I mentioned earlier that we have our own Director of Youth and Student Ministry of the Nigerian Baptist Convention right here with us. It's a privilege actually. Just put our hands together. Let's things for Lavi. I think it was his opening. Welcome back. Welcoming us all. We are the host. Let's put our hands together.
Thank you so much. Today is a very special day, and it's also coming at a time that we as a denomination, we are seriously preparing for Arise Congress, the largest gathering of Baptist young people, September 3 to 6 at the Baptist International Convention Center, Lufu. We want to thank God for this opportunity of joining the global war. This day that has been set apart, that is called International Youth Day. And this is critical for us as a people. 2 years ago, precisely about 5 years ago, we declared a state of emergency on youth ministry. The reason is we know that looking at the way the world is now and looking at the situation around us, except something is done to prepare this generation to take charge and to take over, we will be in trouble in the nearest future. So I welcome you to this discussion today, while we will be looking at the issue of the local youth action for SDG and beyond. But we must look at the total picture of what International Youth Day actually represents. The International Youth Day all over the world is the day that the world is discussing about the vital role of the youth. The vital role of the youth, at least in 3 different areas. Their vital role as agent of change. And I want to challenge our youth. They see a lot of things that are wrong. We can be agent of change. Today we are looking at the vital role of the youth as agent of change, the vital role of youth as leaders, and the vital role of youth as mobilizer in promoting development. These are the 3 angles of International Youth Day. And the youth must know that nothing will change until they change something. And that you are seeing things that are not right. It's actually an invitation to all our youth all over the world to be instrument of change. I know in our nation the youth are complaining about a lot of things, but I can tell our youth that the day they wake up, nothing will remain the same. Things are the way, whether it is economy, whether it is even politics, the day we wake up as youth, things will no longer remain the same. So I call on all our youth to wake up and bring the necessary change. It's also a day to talk about their role in leadership, the imperative of their role in leadership. Youth must know, and the world must know, that the emerging youth, the contemporary youth, they are not only leaders of tomorrow, they are actually leaders of today. If the global world is using around between 15 to 35 or thereabout, depending on which one we are using, that is 15 to 30 or 15 to 35, 17 to 35 for the youth. The implication is that we cannot just think about youth as leaders of tomorrow. At 30 and 25, some of them are already making landmark. So as we mark the youth today, and as I welcome you, it's also a call to our national leader, to our church leaders, community leaders, everywhere, to involve the youth. Anything that you are doing without the youth will not last. It will not last. Any impact you are making without the youth will collapse later in future. Of course, this year, our focus is the last part in the International Youth Day, which is their role in development. And that is why we'll be focusing today on the issue of SDG. And I want to appeal to all of us as we interact and as we discuss to be part of this. And those listening to us online, thank you so much for joining. And it's my prayer that there will be a revival. For us as a denomination, we are creating a movement of champions for global impact and for kingdom exploit. Our youth are amazing. They are great and they have the potential to move the nation to the next level, to move the church to the next level. Thank you so much and God bless you. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much, sir. That just mentioned that the youth, the time for our youth, to do needful today. We'll be focusing on the topic youth leadership in driving sustainable social impact, and that will be our focus for today. All right, may I mention that this program is streamed live on New Frontiers Television, all our social platforms, and our application as Niger TV app is going live. And for those who want to join on TV, or start time, choose 285. It's going live right there. So we have more people who are joining us online, not just the physical, presence here. So, okay, now let's go ahead with our discussion for this morning. So we've got persons who will be, discussing the topic that we're focusing this morning. And I will begin while we wait for our keynote speaker, who is not yet yet. As the program has to continue, so I would like to call on our director once again. We'd love to hear your voice and learn from your work of wisdom almost all the time. You have we keep calling you almost all the time. All right, I'll have our director here who will join us on the panel to discuss and together. And also we will have Reverend Adeyemi. We will also be joining us this morning. And also I have Mrs. Adekun, who will be also joining us. Thank you so much. All right, thank you so much for joining us once again. We will begin now, with the topic that we mentioned, youth leadership in driving sustainable social impact. And yes, the general, topic that we are looking at today globally, across the globe, is the local youth action for the SDGs and beyond. All right, let me start from there before we now narrow it down to our topic for this morning. Now, when we hear local youth action for the SDGs and beyond, now I'd like to first ask our director who mentioned something like that in his opening address. Yes, when you hear local youth action for SDGs and beyond, what comes to mind for the youth participation?
Thank you so much. I want to believe almost everybody in the world is going now about SDG, which is actually the vision of the United Nations to make the world better. And therefore they define, before the year 2000, they actually define a lot of areas where there will be systematic developmental growth to make the world what the world's supposed to be. The area of poverty, the area of peace, in actually every area of life, there are what we call developmental goals set by the world. And Africa is lagging behind. Of course, Nigeria is far behind. Of course, it's not beyond, because by the year 2000 and later by the year 2020, the world discovered that even though they set targets of what the world should be, the world has not actually moved far, especially Africa and Nigeria in particular. So they moved beyond. And now this year, they are not focusing on what can we do as you. Because why did it fail? One of the reasons why I believe the SDG target, social developmental goal, why it actually failed, is the fact that the youth were not involved. You see, I've always said it, any pursuit, any vision not involving the youth will not last. The present youth generation is not also a generation that you just plan for. You plan with them, you get them involved in it. So thank God that the world is waking up now to know that if we really want to change the world, if you really want a better world, it is actually about involving the youth to be fully involved. So that is why this year we are going to be looking at the impact of the youth in the entire SDG goal, so that the youth can see how they can be involved in planning, how they can be involved in execution, how they can volunteer, what can they do, and how we can change the world. And that is why in our own part, through our NGO, all we are trying to do, both our department and NGO, is to create a movement of young people with vision of changing the world. And we are doing all our best to key in to SDG in most of the things that we are doing now. Because without it, we will not be able to change the world. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Let's put our hands together for the director. I would like to ask Reverend Deshola. There's when we talk about a sustainable future, the director did mention about the youth, the subject of change. Now, from your experience, what should we prioritize as youth for the next decade, if at all we have to be agents of change?
All right, thank you very much. Good morning once again, viewers. We want to thank the Lord for the opportunity to see another International Youth Day, just as we are all noted. Of course, looking at the 17 SDG goals, we discover that all of it has a coloration that pushes it towards the youth. Each time I take the time to look at each of it and reflect on it, I discover that there is no how either of it, any of it rather, could be achieved without focusing on the youth. The young people, as we all know, have the creativity to drive whatsoever they want to achieve. The young people have the energy to drive whatsoever they want to achieve. One way or the other, the young people, we know that they have a community knowledge that they can always capitalize upon to achieve any of the SDG. Now, if we want to go any length, then the onus lies on us as a people, the onus lies on us as a nation, the onus lies on us as religious organizations to ensure that the young people are carried along. Now, when the director was talking a while ago, he mentioned the fact that there are 3 core areas that we must focus on, and one of it is leadership. It is high time we began to allow young people to take leadership also in driving some of these SDGs and some other things if we really want to achieve anything worthwhile as much as possible. Thank you.
All right, let's put our hands together for him. I think that's it. Let me mention that there's an opportunity for us to ask questions, so please, you can begin to pen down your question and get to the point where we'll be able to take your questions and the responses from our lovely panelists here. All right, now you mentioned the issue of leadership, intimacy, what the director did mention. Now let me ask Mrs. Adi, what are the barriers that you feel that limit young people's ability to create this change, and how can they overcome these barriers?
Yeah, I want to appreciate everyone for this great opportunity. Actually, the youth, as the director said, are the future of our nation. They are the future of our organizations, communities, because without the youth, there can't be any future. And so, for the youth, there are so many things they can achieve through so many opportunities out there which can help their future. But unfortunately, it seems that so many youth are focusing so much on let me just put it this way, that they're focusing so much on finances, that without finance you can't do anything, which can actually, finance can be a barrier to, being able to, make it in terms of achieving the sustainable goals that we're talking about. But at the same time, creativity is very important. And one of the major barriers is that many of our youth, they think And it is high time for youth to begin to think outside the box. What do I mean by thinking outside the box? There are so many things we can do with our hands. We can do with just by sitting down and then begin to think, okay, how do I put things together to, achieve something which will be useful to other people, even in their community and in their locality and even in the nation at large. I think I was watching a video online, probably on one of the YouTube of a youth who created an helicopter all by himself, and he just gathered things around him that you will see, put them together, and you know what? The helicopter was flying. That is just the beginning of having a kind of broad mind of what the person wants for the future. And so for me, as youth, we do not have any barrier. We can only have barrier if we don't think outside the box of what we feel we can do with our hands and we can achieve. And then another thing is mindset. Another barrier is mindset. Many of our youths have a kind of wrong mindset to things. They believe that they can only achieve things if their parents do not support them, if they don't have a godfather somewhere who will support them. And that is why when you look at most of our institutions and many organizations, they focus so much on entrepreneurship. Because entrepreneurship is something you can do with your hands and which can fetch you a good pay at the end of the day. So as youth, I want us to begin to have a broader mind to things around us. Oh, what can I do that can help my future? When we begin to think outside the box, think of what we can do with our hands, I believe that those barriers, those things we are looking at barriers, they're not actually barriers, but they are stepping stones to what we can do and that can take us even to the future we are actually talking about. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. Let's put our hands together. It's a very valid point for you all as you to make sure that we need to think outside the box. And I think once we think outside the box, there is no other barrier. Right, I'll go straight to our director. You as a leader in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, a youth leader, how has the Baptist youth been able to embrace some of this change, and what are the initiatives that the Nigerian Baptist Convention has put in place to help or to assist in improving the understanding of every Nigerian youth as to the change we're talking about?
Thank you so much. From the inception, actually, the Nigerian Baptist the Baptist work started in 1850 and became a convention on our own in 1914. But if you read the story of the Nigerian Baptist Convention, you will know that the Nigerian Baptist Convention is actually one of the few denominations that right from the inception focused on building the next generation. That's why you see us with many youth organizations. I don't think there is any religious body that has so many, from the Girls Auxiliary to the Lydia to the TA to the BSF to the Youth Fellowship. We have almost about 6 different youth organizations. So that from age 10, when you are leaving what we call a 10 to 12, when you are leaving the children department, you are becoming a teenager. We have systematic developmental total package of growth which has to do with your career, your academics, your spiritual life, every aspect of your life. And that, if you also look at our history, you will discover that until of recent, all our leaders 20-30 years ago, they were all young people. From all our Babakams, you see people at the national level at 30, 40. But somehow, about 30-20 years ago, there was a shift, and it was discovered that the convention, our churches, conferences and convention were no longer giving attention to young people. That's the truth. We discovered that those who started leadership while they were young continue leading and somehow blocking the next generation. And it was not like that. I need to do that background because of some youth who may feel that Baptists they are just, no, we are not just, that has been our tradition. I became a member of the church and the church council of a church that started in 1855 when I was just 17 years old. 17 years old. And they took me out for convention for different meetings, exposing me to opportunities and privileges. And I was not the only one that I can count several, can count more than 20 of us in the country and beyond doing well because we were ruled by these leaders and we were exposed to leadership when we were actually young. But some are not doing it. That was why a few years ago, about 4-5 years ago, the convention had to get a state of emergency again. And 2 years ago, our president did a symbolic handing over to the youth because we are creating a youth movement as a convention. And all structure and systems are being changed now and modified, especially at the national level. And we given by God, the president has given directive to the government, to the administration, and even our local churches to do the same. Firstly, about empowering the youth, training them and preparing them, engaging them, and also involving them. You give, you engage, you involve, and you allow them to take leadership. Why are we doing that? It is because, number one, the youth are the largest group of people. They form, the young people below 35, form almost about 70% of our population. So if you don't involve your largest population, you are wasting your time. We also realize that they are the most appreciable set of people or assets of the church. What are we saying? A youth now that is just an undergraduate, in 10 years, 20 years time, will be the MP. They will become the governor, they will become everything. So we believe that this is the time to invest massively in the life of the next generation. We also know that they are not only the most appreciable assets, they are also actually the greatest potential that are waiting to be tapped. They have skill, they are gifted. In fact, we are talking about contemporary youth. It's an amazing generation. A generation like no other before, a generation that can make things happen. So as a denomination, we believe that nothing can happen without the youth. The denomination cannot be great without the youth. And that is why, if you are in our last two convention, you see the younger generation preaching. That never happened before, especially in the last 20 years. Taking sessions, about 3 sessions. Not youth program, the general convention session. They are now involved in virtually everything, in every committee, in all the system. We must appreciate our president for leading this way. So as a denomination, we are creating a movement of champions for kingdom exploit and global impact. And there is a paradigm, we are talking about paradigm shift. We are also talking to our local churches to begin to build youth-friendly churches. Youth-friendly churches. Somebody also call it youth compliance churches. When the churches are not youth-friendly, they cannot last. You can go to Europe, you will see churches being shut down. You will see churches with agents. We cannot go in that way. So, and that is why we are also doing our gathering that we talked about. That's why we also introduce our life complex. So that the youth can come together, they can do their things their own way. That's why on September 3 to 6, the convention is bringing all of them again to our international center. Accommodation free, we also give food, and it's going to be a session like no other before. So as a denomination, our youth can be involved in everything, and they have the capability to involve. Unfortunately, let me close with this. The system of the nation is the problem. The system is actually shutting them out. But for us, we are creating opportunity. That's why our NGO is also doing this. So that the youth can know there is no aspect that they cannot be involved. In fact, where there are barriers, like our mom is talking about, break the barrier. Break the barrier. You have the capability and the ability to break the barrier. When things are not working, make it happen. The future depends on our youth, and I believe the contemporary Baptists will have that capacity. The Nigeria youth generally, they have the capacity to make things happen. What is government doing? Be involved. What is the state doing? be involved. What is the community doing? Be involved. Let me close it with this. Like I've told them, Nigeria is what it is today because we are yet to wake up. We are many, and just like in the work of Napoleon, he said, "There lies the sleeping giant." He was talking about China at that time. He said, if it ever wakes up, nobody will be able to stop him. You know, China woke up, and China is shocking the world. Now, if we wake up as youth, no one will be able to stop it. No government, no church, no power will be able to stop it until we wake up.
Nigerian youth and youth motivated. And I think it's true that we are motivated. I am motivated by these kind of words coming out. Let's put our hands together once again. You can do a lot. And you know, when the word of the culture that says that youth are the leaders of tomorrow, you know, it baffles us in Nigeria how that is going to happen. But it looks like it's almost becoming a thing of the past because there's the paradigm shift. Now, I'm going to ask our Reverend David Shola this next question. Now, we are talking about youth leadership, and we've been able to establish that yes, there are barriers, you know, that have restrictions because of the environment we find ourselves. But notwithstanding, this is a day at the Golden mentioned that it is necessary that youth think outside the box. Now, the brother have been able to establish that the church has a role, and the church, as an Nigerian Baptist Convention, for example, is doing everything in their capacity to ensure that it takes things. Now, the youth is at the center. How can the youth ensure that the leadership role at the church level, the state level, or the governance, let me put it that way, in general, is attainable in their way of life? So what are things that they need to put in place for them to be able to attain that level of leadership, both on the church level and in governance in the country?
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying that it is possible. One of the major things that the SDG points out is collaboration. Now, there is no how you will be able to achieve much if there is no deliberateness and a willingness to collaborate. And in collaboration, there must also be the place of learning. Young people must, by necessity, make up their mind to be teachable and to be willing to learn. Now, if I want to collaborate to get things done, and I don't have ideas about how to get that particular thing done, one of the best ways to achieve it is to collaborate and to learn. So there must be that openness of hearts, the willingness to learn, so that as much as possible you can stand on the shoulders of others in order to see far. People who will see far must be those who are not an island to themselves, but they are ready to stand on the shoulders of others so that they can see far. And when you are standing on the shoulders of others, what you are also doing is the fact that you are learning from their mistakes, you are developing yourself in the areas of their strength. The places where they are strong, you want to look at how can I be better in such an area so that I will do much more better than they are doing. So it is quite a possibility. It is something that is easy to do. The only thing is there must be that teachable spirit. Unfortunately, a lot of our young people want to be at the center stage, but they are not ready to learn. A lot of our young people want to take the leadership, but they are not ready to be followers. Now, if you want to break out of the box, then you must understand that there are some people that are broken out of the box in the past. They have failed, they have failed at one time or the other. You can learn from their failures, and that must definitely come from your heart. The SDG also speaks about volunteering. It was interesting that sometimes ago I was talking to someone who needed to get some things done, and I said, see, if you want to break even in this particular field, you need to go and volunteer without earning anything. Just go somewhere, volunteer, learn. I say, no. There's no how I will use my time, use my energy, volunteer for somebody, and I will not be paid. And I told the person straight that they are not ready to break even. Volunteering is another means by which we can learn from those who have gone ahead of us. Young people can go the length when they make up their mind to volunteer in areas of interest, and as they are volunteering in those areas of interest, they are learning one way or the other. When people know that this person is open to learn, their hearts will be open to you, and the moment that is happening, breaking even will not become a possibility, and doing that we can easily achieve majority of the things that we desire to achieve as a nation.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Okay, now let's move ahead. Let's hear the word volunteering. Let me just mention, for those who are just joining us right now, the program is still in celebration of International Youth Day 2025. And our focus for today, the general theme across the globe, is the youth power, driving change for a sustainable future. And right here in the Nigerian Baptist Convention, what we are driving today is the topic on youth leadership in driving sustainable social impact. And let me reiterate again that you can ask questions, but please put them down and we'll get to the time. You'll be able to ask your questions. All right, moving ahead now. All right, Mrs. Atikun, you'll be able to help us, to throw more light on the issue of what we call youth power. When we say youth power, so what do you think that youth with this power can make the fastest and the most impactful contribution, towards this sustainability that we're talking about right now?
Thank you very much for that question. Yes, youth power is a very strong driving force. And I don't think any society can actually make way in all aspects of life without youth. And it's so unfortunate that in our country, it's like the youths are not so vibrant enough to understand that they have a voice. And so, youth power is the ability to collaborate together, just like Loretta said, as youth, to make things happen. Well, we can see that when we look at the population of our country and even every organization, we will see that the number of youth compared to the adults and the children, we have the largest number. In terms of number, we have the largest number. Because youths are categorized from the age of 18 to the age of 35. Sometimes they say the age of 13. That once you are a teenager, you are a youth. Well, we can have them to go. Looking at that population, the population of people within this age range, we will see that there are more in our country. And even everywhere, even in our religious organizations, in our churches, when we look at our churches, we see that we have more youths than the adults and the children. Which means, as youth, we have a voice. But it's so unfortunate that we do not recognize that voice. I just want to flash back to what is happening in Burkina Faso. We can see that now the leader there is a youth, just about 35 years of age. And immediately they took up power. We could see that things are happening right there in Burkina Faso. Well, I'm not saying that as youth we should take over from the leadership of our country by force or by any means. But I'm just telling us that as youth, we can collaborate together, and we have so many ways by which we can do this. Now, let's look at the social media. These days, youths are more on the social media. Talk of Instagram, talk of YouTube, talk of Facebook, talk of any platform on the social media, we will find youths there. In these social media platforms, we can raise our voices. Talk to one another, talk with our friends. that just laugh and that, you know, gist with friends and just, you know, but there are so many opportunities you can tap even from the social media. And we are youth, we have that capacity, we have that privilege, we have that creative mind of making things happen. So for me, I think one of the things we can do to make things happen as youth and is to collaborate together and to think of how do we move forward and to make our society a better place. When we do this, using all the various platforms available to us, I want to believe that things will begin to change for the better, even in our nation, our country, our community, and everywhere we find ourselves. Thank you very much.
All right, let's put our hands together. And I'm going to start from where she started. That's where I want our director to pick it up from there, you know, in a more robust way. We cannot separate, you know, technology and innovation away from the youth. And that's the order of the day. And she has been able to, you know, give us an understanding of how youth can be able to utilize, you know, social media. But yes, there are other technologies. I would want to like you to expatiate on the issue of technology and how youth can use, you know, technology and innovations, you know, to improve our sustainability, you know, in place of, you know, power and leadership.
Thank you so much. You see, the youth are digital natives. Digital natives are people who are born actually into technology. And most of them are just about 20 years old, they are about or 20. This is a digital native. And unfortunately, many of them are not using the digital platform to make things, to make positive things happen. So whenever I watch on social media, some of them just posting and posts, dancing and posts, doing a lot of things, unnecessary things and posts. I pity them. Why? Because anything you put on social media is permanent. A permanent record. Number two, I pity them because I wish they understand that they can make the best use of this to change their own, to change their community, and to change the world. People may not like this, but I want to cite it as an example to know what media can do. When the youth wanted to do NSAS, what did they use? Social media. And you see their own. What will happen if they use that for every social media in our country? Things that are wrong, and you want to say no to this, and there is social media class, you can change it. What we do, even for politics, we talk about leadership. You see, I said in the media chat recently that the day you decide to change the country or change policies, they will change it. Sincerely, why? People are not aware. The president, not the first president, from our president came second and third in the last election. None of them had more than 1 million. And you are aware we have 50 million youth votes, 18 to 35. They have 50 million votes. Single-handedly, I can mobilize millions if I want to do it. I know other people who have been able to mobilize millions. The day the youth decide that we want this country right, and they give a blood for, if the president is making just about 10 million, and they are 50 million, they say they read food, they buy food. They are able to read food and buy food because we don't vote. Nigeria has a population, a voting vote of almost about 100 million. You see 30 million vote, you see 20 million, 15 million voting. Who will buy? They vote at the local government level. Why they not vote when the local government chairman will become local government chairman with 30,000 votes? You are having governor with just 300,000 votes, 800,000 votes. We are over 3 million can vote. Who will buy the vote of 3 million people in the state? Who will the vote of 50 million youths if they want to vote. Do you have the money to buy the vote of that number of people? You don't have it. Is it in the school? If they use the digital thing, there is nothing our youth cannot change. If they wake up, I repeat, no one, no power, no president, no governor, no church will be able to stop them. So they can use the digital platform, create a digital platform, not just for friendship. Putting value on your digital content, raising issues, seminar, programs, things that will help the youth to hold the nation. The problem is that the youth are ready to hold the nation. The day they hold the nation, the day they hold leadership at the local level, at the church level, the day they declare that we can't continue this way, the day they realize that it is all about them. All my generation are counting our days, whether we like it or not. We must not allow this generation, my generation, and the generation above me to destroy things, and you will suffer for it. And I see a generation just waiting, just sleeping, just watching, allowing people who not suffer for it to mess things up. So they can use their social media, they can use the general media. But unfortunately, what are they using it for? What are they using their TikTok, their Facebook, their Instagram, their what else? What are they doing it? Because it's a global connection. The digital world provides a global network of connection. So I challenge the youth to wake up. I challenge the youth to arise. The future belongs to them. You know, for me it is painful because my generation before me, they enjoy free education. Many of them to university level. But some will even pay where they are in university. You finish, you have jobs are waiting for you. Even me that I'm not as old as those people, by the time I finish, I had 3 different opportunities of getting job. I was choosing which one will I do before I eventually move to medicine. Everything set, you don't struggle for anything. They have opportunity for every and anything. But the same generation is just capturing things and making things difficult. And this generation seems to be looking and watching, putting our destiny in the hands of people that seems not to bother about our life. You stop putting your destiny in the hands of people. Take charge. Take over. That was why our president, who is symbolic, taking over. He was not saying force them out. He was simply saying, take charge, take over. Do everything possible to let them know that it is about your destiny. Stop keeping quiet. They call you Sorosoke generation, but you are not keeping quiet. Stop keeping quiet in the community. Stop keeping quiet even in the church. Of course, you talk as a Christian. Demonstrate the grace, the gift, the potential, and everything in you. Use the digital world to make things happen. I see a revolution coming. Not a revolution of God, not a revolution of killing, but a revolution of change. Because whether the world like it or not, the youth will wake up and they will make the necessary change. So do you see things going wrong? Wake up, make the change. Do you see leaders not doing anything? Wake up, make the change. Every problem that we see is an opportunity to use digital means to make the change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm ready to wake up. I think you can do better. If you want to wake up, you speak louder. Are you ready to wake up? Yes. All right, I'm going to stop putting our destiny in the hands of people who are going to misuse them. All right. Now, we've been able to establish that about innovation and technology. But there's a part where I don't want us to leave before we round off. And that's the part of mentorship. So, Reverend Adeshola, when it comes to mentorship, what role does mentorship play in empowering the youth for the future?
Thank you very much. It plays great roles in empowering young people for the future. If we really want to take over, just as the director mentioned, if we really want to encourage young people to take their own destinies in their hands, then we must understand that we must ensure that we learn. And when we learn from the best. Unfortunately, there are lots of perversion, there are lots of corruption, there are lots of people who are in places of authority who have what it takes to, they are at an advantage, but they have lopsided views, lopsided behaviors, lopsided thinking. They are always and only thinking about themselves. And that happens because many times the right group of people are pushed to the rear, either deliberately or willingly. Now, willingly in the sense that I don't want to get involved in some things that would have afforded me the opportunity to learn and to be positioned, to do something. So I push myself to the rear. Now, when people are now meant to take over, they have the opportunity to learn from me, but I don't have what it takes. So the real thing is, we need mentors that really know their own. We need mentors that are involved. Some years back, I was telling some people that it is high time the church awoke to the need to raise political figures that will be correct, that will be balanced, and that can provide the mentorship that is needed for young people, so that when there is a need to take over, then we have correct people. If I am a bad mentor, I will only produce bad mentees. So if we want to have people that will be correct, then we must make sure that we have correct people, mentoring them, providing them with leadership that is needed so that they can be better positioned. And that is why we encourage churches, we encourage Christians, we encourage people who knows what it means to be involved in advocacy, those who understand what it means to be involved in civic engagements, to make sure that they are raising people so that they can provide them with the necessary tools that are needed. They can, provide them with mentorship. They can help them to understand how things are done and done correctly. Let me reiterate again. We do not want to have mentors that are bad people on their own. No. And in order not to be a bad mentor, that means you have to be correct. Now, if I now need people that can provide me with a platform to learn in whatsoever areas of life, talk about technology, there are people that are in technology and they are using it for the wrong side, for the wrong purpose. Perhaps that was how they learn, and some choose to learn and some choose to go that route on their own. Now, if I want to go into technology, I need to find out those that I know they are doing it correctly. They are developing apps that can be of great help to the community, that can be of great help to the society, that can be of great help to the nation. And I learn from them. I put myself under them as a mentee. And don't forget what I said earlier on, that there must also be the willingness to learn. Now, if I have a mentor and I'm always, faulting everything he does, I'm always going against the basic principles that will make things to work out, then I'm not ready to learn. There must also be that willingness to learn. It's not all about having a mentor and what kind of attitude do you have? What kind of notions do you have? Are you really ready to learn? Are you really willing to learn? Of course, there may be a time to question some things. If you discover that, okay, this thing is not going right, I need to raise questions, there is that place. You don't also keep quiet. The director talked about the need to sort of okay at times. Of course, that one is there. But be sure that you are speaking out correctly. You are also not speaking out because of your own selfish interest and your unwillingness to submit to authority. Now, if you want to learn, then you must be ready to also be submissive to authorities as much as possible. So, it's very important to understand that mentorship plays a huge role in achieving whatsoever we want to achieve. There is nothing you want to do today that someone had not done it one way or the other, it may be done differently, but there is always somebody you can learn from. There will always be a group of people that have gone ahead of you one way or the other that you can always learn from one way or the other. So there is nothing new, more or less, that you want to do. Somebody else had done it at the time, somebody else is doing it at this time. You only need to be painstaking enough to learn from them so that you can ride upon what they are doing and be the best. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Let's go and stick together for you. Now, for those who are just coming in, you're welcome to the International Youth Day celebration. We hosted by the Nigerian Baptist Convention and the Rise for Youth, Rise Youth Network for Total Impact. And we are talking about the topic, youth leadership in driving sustainable social impact. That's been our discussion before you came in. All right, let's move ahead now. We have talked about a lot of things that can improve and change. And yes, Reverend Additional just talked about mentorship. But at times when we're talking about children, and youth are trying, in the recent youth are trying, but sometimes the environment, sometimes several factors are the one burning the youth out, ensuring that we become the change that we are supposed to be. So how can we as youth avoid this burnout while trying to change the world?
Thank you. We can change the world and avoid burnout by having the right mindset. Let us begin to change our mindset towards things around us, towards our attitude to issues. For example, when we look at our environment, most of the time, what we say out is, Nigeria is a drama. So people just confess everything and say, with what we are saying, this country can never be better. And we don't know that whatever we say is what we actually will materialize, or whatever we say is what will happen. So the change should begin with us. Let's be positive minded in everything we are doing. Please, let's have that positive mind that things will be better. In whatever we see that is wrong, let's correct those areas if we have the opportunity. There are times that we see things, people doing things which are not good around us. If we can just, in love, talk to that person and say, what you're doing is that's not the right thing. Why not do it this way, do it this way? I want to believe that we have passed the message across. Well, if that person wants to do the same thing another time, there is no way the person will not remember what you said here down. So for me, I believe that change can begin with us if we begin to have the right mindset, a positive mindset towards things that are happening in the country and even around us. And then we ourselves, we are not walking prey in those areas, doing those wrong things which we feel are not good. So I believe that with this right mindset, our country will be a better place, and even our communities and our environment will be a better place for everyone.
All right, thank you so much, man. Let's put our hands together. Where she concluded was that don't be found wanting, don't do what you are supposed to do, as you. Thank you so much, man, for that. I'm going to round off now. I will begin with our director. If you have one word, that you want to tell the youth of the Nigerian Baptist Convention and also the entire youth who are watching us across the globe. Don't forget I mentioned earlier that this program is being live across West Africa and New Frontier Television, start time 285, and also on our social platforms, the Facebook, YouTube, and also we are streaming live on our mobile application, which is being viewed across the world. So yes, we're speaking right now to the youth of the world, not just the Nigerian Baptist Convention. So sir, the Nigerian youth and the youth at large are watching you. What is that word of encouragement and word of sustainability that you want to give them?
I would say to our beloved youth that You have the capacity to make things happen. Arise now. Your generation is waiting for you. Arise now. You are the generation our denomination is waiting for. Arise now. You are the generation the country is waiting for. Arise now. You are the generation the world is waiting for. Arise and make the change that you want. You can do it. You have the capacity to do it. Don't give up. You can make things happen. You are born to do it happen at such a time like this. Don't fail this generation. The future belongs to you. Prepare yourself now for the future and do what you can do now to make the world the place you want it to be. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I just want to round off by saying that the young folks, the youth force of our nation, of our churches, there is a latent strength that we have. There is a strength that it is time for us to exploit positively. I need to add that. It is time for us to awaken that sleeping giant. It appears that sleeping giant has been waking up, but it is not waking up fully to discover and to actualize what is meant to actualize. It is time for us to actualize, to discover our latent strength. It is time for us, for the young people of Nigeria, it is time for the young people of our churches to explore their strength and take over so that together we can build a nation that our soul desires. Thank you. All right, thanks so much.
My advice for the youth is that don't limit yourself. Know that you have potentials within you, which the Lord wants it to project, which God wants it to project. So don't limit yourself. Break whatever barrier. Be determined that you have a future.
The world is bad because of the silence of the good people. And like I've always told my youth, the problem of darkness is not darkness. The problem of darkness is the absence of light. And it doesn't matter how dark darkness is, when there is light, there will be a change. Have you ever wondered how did Daniel survive? Do you know there were millions of young people in Babylon where we could only hear of Daniel and his 3 friends? How did they survive it? Not compromising in this generation is a choice. And you remember in Daniel chapter 1 verse 8, the Bible will say, and Daniel resolved. I love different translations. The Daniel resolved, Daniel proposed, Daniel decided. It is a matter of resolution. You see, this is a generation, our generation can be changed, not to compromise. Not even with government alone. We don't have access to misbehave too much. We were guarded. This is a free generation. Nobody can guard you. You can mess up your life. You can do things the way, then you will pay for it. And you will throw away your destiny and your purpose. What will you do? You will stay in the system. Don't be discouraged. Don't compromise with them. Make the little changes you can make. It's a matter of time. I'm afraid to give some examples. For personal example, when we find ourselves even in ministry, and system was not working, we kept in touch, like you told you, working with some of the fathers that we know are great mentors. They started opening doors. As we had an opportunity, we started changing, influencing change. That's what we call 360-degree leadership. That's your ability, and that is what you must know. That you will not always be the top leader. But a good 360% leader must be able to influence things from where you are. Whether you are in the middle or even at the baseline. Do you know there are messengers changing things? There are drivers changing things through their through their boss. You can change things positively. Your little influence that look insignificant is actually very important. And as you know it, you will be growing up. You will be growing up. You will be growing up. Now, wherever you are, the level you are, you a class captain, set an example. Are you a governor in your class? Set an example. Are you becoming just a leader of a team? Set an example. So you will be having track record and other people will be joining you. Before you know it, people will identify you. They will give you more opportunity. Do you know that these people are also looking for trustworthy people? They know areas they want to put them. Hello? Like I said, sorry, I find it difficult to give example. I know somebody that in the police force, they put him somewhere because it was like a problem to them many years ago. So they were pushing the solution somewhere. And eventually, the top shot, because he just identified where they needed. You can imagine the place he rose to. Just because he was doing the right thing. And not only one, not only two, not three, not four people who are upright that the system was not working. But they were pushing them here, and eventually it was the integrity that brought them out. Because you think when you have integrity and you are doing things right, you will not be with the crowd. Let me say this. If you are with the crowd, you can never be distinct. Hello? What makes you different? What makes people identify you is that you are not going with the crowd, with the multitude. You will be distinct, and doors will open for you, and you will get them. So I tell you, things will be wrong around you. Shine the light. And another person will also get from your candle. It's a candle light. Another person will also get from the candle. And you know when the darkness is thick, the more the light, the more the darkness will disappear. But the problem with us is what you are thinking about, that when you are just a little shining light, sometimes you look around, you still see darkness all around you. But that little shining light is enough to make you continue to walk until you get more and more, and the darkness will disappear. So if you are one, you are all alone, don't give up. Keep going, keep moving. You can shine in your generation.
After I've actually addressed that, I just want to make a little addition to what he has said. And just as he has said, it is actually difficult to give some very practical examples. I would have actually given you two practical examples that concerns me directly. One as a university student, and the other one as I was already more matured. The way I handled the two issues were quite different, because there was a need to stamp out something that was really going on wrong in the place that I found myself, and looking at everything that surrounds it, I was helpless. But the small thing I have discovered is this: in every bad sector, there will always be one right person. I have seen that in the police. I have met police people, police officers that are men of integrity par excellence. Go to the judiciary, you will see them there. Go to the customs, go to immigration, go to civil service, and in every bad sector, there will always be one person that will stand out. Now, but you see, one of the problems that we have is we are quick to forget that when a decay has taken place, it takes time before corrections are made. But over time, it will definitely happen. I want to plead that you try something hard. Get a cup of water. Make sure that inside that water there is dirt, maybe very dirty water. Put it under a running tap. Open the tap and let that water from the tap continue to run. You'll be surprised that in no distant time
the water in the cup that is under the tap, even though originally it was dirty, it will flush out. It's a natural cause. It will flush out, and what we have in the water will become clean water. You can go and try it out. That's the same thing that we need to do in our system. But it calls for patience. It's not something that you just jump at. And that is why it is quite important. You know, I talked about mentorship, but having correct mentors. There are people that are still standing for their truth. There are people that are still not corrupt. There are people that are not investing money. There are people that desire changes. But you know, in Judges, there is this scenario that we have in Judges. When, what's his name now? Samson. When Samson needed to avenge himself with the Philistines, I'm going scripture now in this, and it's deliberate. Now he did something. You know, the scripture says he caught foxes. He caught a fox, and he caught foxes, and he went into the field of the Philistines, and he tied the foxes tail to tail. And the moment he did that, he put lights just on the tail of one, and he released them into the field of the Philistines. He tied them tail to tail, tail to tail, tail to tail. It may take time. When there is the right connection, from time to time, we are connected from time to time. I am doing the right thing where I am. She's doing the right thing where she is. You are doing the right thing where you are. Everybody seated here or everybody listening to us online is doing the right thing where they are. It may take time, but it will happen. The other thing that he also mentioned that I think we also need to pay very close attention to is the need for us not to keep quiet. There are times you may not have what it takes to speak out. There are times you have what it takes. Even if you cannot talk verbally, you can talk socially. The social media has given us a platform that, at least for now, in Nigeria and in many other nations of the world, a lot will be done via the social media. And before you know it, you will see a very quick response. If you cannot say some things, the moment you are just being sure that you are not being vocal, you are not being vocal, rather, just make sure you have done the right thing, you have put in the right thing there. Somebody somewhere will see the right thing that you have put, and it will bring to action. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
A little thing that even when you find yourself in the midst of wrongs, maintain your integrity. Be ready to stand and be determined. It takes determination. If not, it is possible for them to also draw you into that kind of path. So in such situation, be determined that you want to make a difference, and then maintain your integrity, and also be prayerful, so that you will not fall prey of such acts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we have more questions. All right. Let's put our hands together, for our panelists who have to step out because there's another official assignment that needs to attend to, on our behalf, on the behalf of the convention. All right. And we have also with us the Reverend Adeshola Adeyemi, who is the National Coordinator for Strength Ministry of the Nigerian Baptist Convention. So when they're telling you something, we need to respond and show interest in it. Also, we have, the program officer of the Youth and Student Ministries of the Nigerian Baptist Convention, Mrs. Agido, Yes, to introduce ourselves, I will not be able to go, one after the other for the audience. But in the audience this morning, for those who are online, we have, the Baptist Student Fellowship and the youth of the Nigerian Baptist Youth Conference, from Ibadan Baptist Conference, I hope that we'll gain one or more, things that can improve our lives, and of course, when it comes to the issue of sustainability, we have gained a lot. So thank you so much for being our panelists this morning and sharing from your words of knowledge, with us this morning. Thank you so much. We do appreciate it. So let's get back to the Alright, so we're still expecting our keynote speaker for this morning, and he will be speaking on the local youth action for the SDGs and beyond. Let me start to say that we've let, can one or two persons, tell me in summary, that is annoying after they talk to us, from the adult perspective. Do I have one person who wants to talk as a youth? Of what you understand, as the youth power youth, that power that belongs to the youth. How should youth manage that power in the contemporary world, 21st century that we find ourselves? Do I have anyone who wants to bear the kite? There's something called generational gap, and the generational gap is visually most of the things that affect us as youth, because some of the time, individuals or persons of leadership who speaks with us, they don't understand a few things about us, and they might, obviously influence how they relate with us. So when we are talking about youth ourselves, we ourselves need to first understand what we want to do or how we will be able to achieve it better. They're going to give us tips. Give us motivation, but how are we going to drive this in more? That's what should come, to ourselves as youth. So let me call on, one person, Mrs. Thomas, who will, I know, different forums, you're being at the forefront of, youth innovation and so let's put our hands together. If you don't have a place, for you to manage a day like this, to talk about how youth, we have that power, or how to and that's talk about. Yes, let's in 1 or 2 minutes. Let's really talk about that, and let's pick it up from there.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to actually speak. I just wanted to come, sit down and learn as a youth myself, and but sometimes it's always good to talk to ourselves about what is expected of us and how we're doing in that regard. It's normal, it's expected for youth to be discouraged at this moment. Like you look around you, you have ideas, you have been creative, you have thought outside the box, you've done everything, you've gone to school, you've done masters, you've done PhD, and at the end of the day, it looks like the people up there are even seeing you definitely. It looks like, okay, I'm bringing something to the table, and the people up there are just pushing it aside, like it doesn't matter, we are not listening, we don't have time for it, all these youthful exuberant, all these things. So the youth will get to some point and they just sit there and say, let's just watch. When they are done with their own, we pick it up. But the truth of the matter is that by the time they are done with their own and you want to pick it up, you would have gone out of it. You would have forgotten what it looks like to be youth. You would have unconsciously stepped into the shoes of those you are hating right now. So what am I saying? I'm saying that the youth power is your ability to keep your steam even in the midst of challenges. It's your capacity to hold yourself together, to carry your dream and hold it to your chest and say, I'm not dropping this. No matter the discouragement around me, no matter Nigeria 3-0 is a lie. Because what you have is your own. It doesn't matter who gave birth to you. It doesn't matter where you were given birth to. It doesn't matter the schools you went to. What you have, what is inside of you, the capacity you carry as a young person to dream, to create, to be innovative, is beyond your environment. It's beyond the situation. It's beyond the systems of government that has limited us so far. And if we at any point let down what we have as a young person, then we have won and we have lost everything. So what am I saying this morning? I'm challenging you to pick up your dreams wherever you have dropped it. Pick up those ideas. Pick up those, those images in your head. Those things that are keeping you from sleeping. Don't ever drop them. Don't get used to the system. Don't conform. That's the word. Don't conform. We can't get to a point that we start behaving like those people who have been limiting us. Because the truth is, those people that you're looking at that are stopping you from becoming who you want to be were once youth. What happened to them? They got used to the system. They adopted the system. They got to a point that they believe that that's the only way out. But that's not it. There must be a generation rising and saying that we are going to change the narrative. A generation must come up and say that for us, things will be different. And this is that generation. I hope you are going to join me in changing the narrative. Thank you very much.
It's a drive. It's determination. It's us as youth being ready to change things. And I believe one thing, just like my sister said, the sky is big enough. It's big enough. But how many of the birds of the air that you see sit in their net? How many of them? They leave their net. They might not have reasons to fly around, but you see them do what? They fly. And some even do what? They soar. So what's keeping us? Those are the things that we need to begin to think about. Is the environment? My sister mentioned that it's not the environment. Because environment has been determined by individuals, that is in that area. The truth is, Nigeria became what Nigeria is right now because of us, right? So it does not matter. Even if we change location, it's just a matter of rules and regulations like guiding people. So it's not a matter of where you are that will not make you misbehave. You don't misbehave as outside the country when you leave the shore of Nigeria. I've seen several presidents who broke the law in other countries because this is what we do. And it's something that when you travel to another country, there's something they call a cultural shock. Not because you cannot adapt to it, but it feels like it's different, it's strange, to you. But it's better you will change. So what's now stopping us from changing ourselves right here to make our environment more conducive, for ourselves? What we have this morning, conversations like this, gatherings like this, it might not be happening in the last 10 years, but it's changing, it's getting better. Tell somebody it's getting better. Alright, so if it's getting better, what is the role that you want, to do? What is the role that you want to, take as a responsibility? So I need someone who, want to share with us as youth. We are for ourselves now, as youth. What are those things? I mentioned briefly things that are burning us out. And Mr. Lebu was able to give us, to allow things to burn you out. And my brother mentioned one of those things that burns, youth out, and that is the environment that you have. You have the intention. You are a youth member. You are, part of the Lydia. You're part of the Harry. You have this teaching. You have that upbringing from something. But when you step outside the world, you meet with individuals who don't have the knowledge that you have. Yes or no? You relate every day with individuals who are not even Christians, who don't even know the word. We have several churches now, so I don't want to talk about Christians who go to church, because yes, when I go to church, I don't have the word. There's two different things, understanding the word and going to church. So that's another side. These are things that burn. So what other things do we think that burn us out? we have this gathering so that we can share thoughts together, we can share ideas together, we can, help each other. And when you feel that you are passing through and it's burning you out, some persons here have gone through the same thing and they've been able to scale through. So let's discuss, let's talk to one another. What are the things that you feel that, as youth might be an obstruction for us to have that change, that we're talking about. When we're talking about change, we're talking about, we're moving beyond, beyond our, immediate environment. We're talking about the future. We're talking about leadership position.